Good afternoon, everyone. BW Business World is honored to have with us Major Manjit Rajain ji, the founder and global chairman of Tenon Group of Companies, the leading services provider of integrated security and facility management services in India, UK, and Singapore. The Indian MNC Group consists of three global brands: Peregrine Guarding, Tenon FM, and Soteria. The group's Peregrine Guarding is amongst the top private security companies today. And over the past 27 years, Major Manjit's refined leadership, business insights, and operational expertise have strengthened growth trajectory of Tenon Group. Thank you for your time, sir.
You're most welcome, Shilpa. My privilege.
So since you have served the nation, you've been a part of the police, you have served in the Indian Army, and now you're a celebrated global chairman of Tenon Group. So we would be grateful to know if you could share your assessment on the evolution of security industry of India and the future in terms of scale and volume.
Shilpa, first of all, thank you, BW, for having me on this talk. And thank you for all those glowing tributes. I actually started thinking of talking to somebody else. To answer your question, this is a very unique journey that I've had, fortunately, with a lot of people who built up this business with me. The journey started 27 years back when I left my job in the police after having served in the army, like you said. Things were very, very different then. Security was perceived to be with the man with a stick at the door, the chowkidar. And if you were refined, it was normally a Bahadur brought in from Nepal. I mean, I remember seeing a lot of movies where at the gate there was always a Bahadur with a stick. For some reason, they've always taken as very good on security, which I think they are. Since then till today, there has been a massive evolution. We went through phases where both sides, client side, service provider side, we grew up. We either got self-educated or we were educated by companies coming from overseas as clients or what they wanted. It was of course a very sharp learning curve, a very quick one. The first 5, 6, 7, 10 years that I spent in the business was basically more to do with what is the man at the gate with a stick. 10 years later, it started evolving, and I think that evolution happened on the back of a huge amount of multinationals coming into this country, likes of Microsoft, Intel, Yahoo, Dell, Google, basically the IT companies coming in, the outsourcing boom, as we call it. That was probably the first turning point where this industry started to evolve. They had requirements, they had some ideas, they knew what they wanted, they knew what they can expect, and they also educated people like us, companies like us, on what could be delivered. That was fantastic. For us, that was genuinely the point of inflection from where we really took off. And we never looked back. I remember a year in the peak of IT boom when we grew by 100% in a particular year, and we were opening offices, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Pune. It was like every second month you had a new office come up, you're sitting there, you're talking to clients. By the way, it was not just a one-way process that we learned from our clients and we were not able to teach them anything. We taught them how the Indian culture worked, how the Indian people worked, what could we deliver. I remember a client telling us that they want only 8 people to guard a building which had nearly 500,000 square feet of space. And they said that is what we would do in US. And I was at pains to explain to them, this is not US. At the gate, when in the morning there are 2,000 people trying to enter at the same time and you have to do bomb checks and you have to do frisking, how can you have 8 people guard a building? So we educated them, they educated us, but that became an inflection point for the growth. Then, fortunately, the government was very supportive and they came out with what we now call the PSAR Act, the Private Security Agencies Regulation Act, which I think came in 2005. 5. But you are also right in a way. Till 15, nothing happened on it. The act was there, But till 15, nothing much was happening. Some states tried to adapt it. They didn't have the infrastructure. They didn't know who to appoint. They didn't know how to take it forward. Till the government of India came out with some guidelines, some model rules which everybody could follow. Today, in 90% of the states in the country, PASAR is well implemented, which really helps. Industry has also changed. When I started in this business, 25% business was regulated sector, 75% was unregulated. The chairman was a man with a suitcase. He carried the money to the guards, distributed, and he collected the money, put it in his bag, and brought it back. And that is how the business operated. Till better labor laws came, technology came, banking came, everything changed. And today, this industry, I would safely say, is 70% organized and 30% unorganized, which is a 100% shift. And it is rapidly still changing to change over to more into the regulated sector, which is good for companies like us.
Right.
And when we find an advantage on that. It's a massive industry, employs over 1 crore of people. So think about it. It has more people than all the defense forces and the police forces put together.
Correct.
And it has a growth of 20%. We have one of the lowest public to police ratio in this country as a developing country. So we need people like us, we need companies like us, and we do need private security. By the way, it's more economical also. So it makes sense. It's getting more and more organized, it is getting more and more regulated, keeping in view that the GDP growth is going to be in the vicinity of 6%, 7%, we're going to become a 3 trillion, 5 trillion economy, which I genuinely hope and pray it does. And I'm sure it will. We are on a boom. So 20% growth, great economy, best place to be in. This is where the industry is today.
So, sir, my next question would be, what contribution do you think does technology play in the domains of physical security, asset protection, and guarding? And which technology initiatives is Tenon Group taking?
Shilpa, very interesting question, and my favorite question, by the way. So we all, I'm sure we all agree that technology is the future. It's going to take you places where nobody has been before. You are the next generation, but in my generation, if somebody had said that you can talk from a phone anywhere and carry it in your pocket, nobody would have believed it. In fact, I remember I bought a cell phone for my father, and the first thing he did was he picked up the cell phone, went to the park, called home, and my mother picked up. And he says, मैं बोल रहा हूँ park के bench से. So for him, park के bench से बोलना was a very, very big thing. So technology plays a very important part. Having said that, I must say that in our industry, the use of technology or man-machine amalgamation has now reached probably at best 30%, which is not very good. We should have been much more advanced. There are countries which are, I would say, Singapore, 80% use of technology in security now.
Okay.
Fortunately, we have a company in Singapore, so we have access to a lot of technology which probably most of my competitors would not have. So we've tried to use that. Our board of directors has decided that we want to reach the level where when we say today we are a security company, tomorrow we want to be seen as a technology company that does security. So technology becomes the first word, then security. And this we are applying in facility management, security, everywhere we are trying to apply that. And I'm very proud to say that we probably achieved more than 50% of it today. It will continue to grow. It will continue to be used. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, these are the future. You cannot do without them. Otherwise, you'll be in dark ages. Very interestingly, we had an experience in Singapore where we guard a huge bus yard, and the guy who used to go around doing a patrol would take a guard tour system, touch it to every point to show that he has been on that place. And he was very efficient. So one night I went guard checking over there and I saw this guy and I said, the light at the back was not working. You didn't do anything about it. He says, but I took my round, na? I said, the gate is also not locked properly. He said, but I did my round. So basically he's using technology but doesn't know what to do with that technology. That is what taught us a lot. So today, when that same guy takes that round, when he reaches the back gate, His phone decides that he has reached that place, geo-locked with the geo-location. We know he's reached there. His 4 questions pop up on his smartphone. Are the lights working? Yes or no. Is the gate locked? Yes or no. Is somebody blocking the gate? Yes or no. And the job is done. And the moment he says send, we know all things have been done. And the machine registers. He's taken his round, he's checked all the things, we are satisfied. That is the level we've already brought into India. I can tell you today, out of my 1200 plus operational staff which is out in the field today, we can pinpoint each person within 100 yards. Where is he? What is he doing? When he crosses a client location, a message goes to him to tell him, you are now at so-and-so client's place, go and visit him. These are the guards over there. These are the issues discussed last time. By the way, so much payment is pending, you can ask the client. When he comes out, he asks him a question, did you discuss this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Were there any points from the client? And the moment he says send, it goes to his boss. So his boss knows he's done his job. If he does not do it, a message goes automatically to his boss, he did not do it. It's complete use of technology for training, recruitment, monitoring. Everything is right now is already being done. I'm not saying that we will do it. We've already done it. Of course, obviously we learned a lot of it from Singapore. Things like doing access control system, visitor management, etc., they are standards. They are a given. If we are not even doing that, then we are doing something very wrong. However, the problem here is clients are not willing to invest. This is an expensive proposition. To start with, there is a capex involved. Clients are not willing to invest. You have to go to the client, convince them, educate them, and one day they will. Some of them are, some will not, some will buy a capex model, some will buy an opex model, but it will come. Nobody has a choice. It will happen. Today, through our technology arm, which is Soteria, we monitor and manage. We are monitoring about 5,000 plus locations across UK, USA, Singapore, 3-4 other countries in Asia, and of course India. 5,000 locations. Camden Market in UK is monitored from Gurgaon, from this building. And it is not monitored by a person, it is monitored by a machine which only sends out an alert when a rule is breached or something happens. Otherwise, you don't need to look at it.
Okay.
We do approximately 3 lakh transactions a minute from our command center. And by transactions in technological terms, it means a alert from a client location attended to by my machine, my computers, my people, depending on the level of intervention that is required. We are doing 3 lakhs a minute. And in the next 45 days, it will go to 5 lakhs a minute. We monitor more than 30,000 devices, cameras and vibration detectors and motion detectors and what have you. All of this is done by a team which is less than 30 people. If you go into the Soteria command center, you will think you come into Star Wars because there are lots of screens. Most of them are blank because there's nothing happening. Nothing happens till an alert comes and then it lights up. A defense R&D site in Florida is monitored from Gurgaon. I'm sure we're going to become a hub of such activities for the world. This country will have that opportunity. So, what I would really like, it's a wish I would like, which should be maybe fulfilled by the government. Singapore has a very beautiful technology development plan. Whatever you spend on technology in a year, the government will give you a 40% subsidy. You get your money back. So everybody wants to do it because you're getting money. So it's actually encouraging people, use technology. For security companies to get a star rating in Singapore, to be graded A+, and we are the only private security company in Singapore which is not owned by the government,
Okay.
which has a A+ rating. To do that, you must have a 60 to 70% technology intervention. We've done that, we achieved that. So these are my thoughts on technology, and this is what we've implemented.
I'm sure Tenon Group is taking great initiatives and also setting up an example for other security companies to implement, to focus more on technology?
Yeah, I think that's the future, and if they don't, we'll be left behind. And we as a country, I don't think will now ever be left behind.
Sure. Thank you, sir. So, sir, talking about technology, I would lead my next question to the most critical area in the field of security, that is airports. So, what are your views on the airport security of India? Do you think our security is good enough, or do you think it needs revamping, or it has this potential to improve? The scope of improvement is there.
So Shilpa, short answer, there is always scope for improvement. In the army, they taught us one thing. You go on a place, you occupy that place, and you prepare for a defense. I'm going to defend this place. The saying in the army is, preparation for defense are never over. You continue to add something new, and you continue to do it better. So yeah, scope for improvement is always there. Having said that, I'm very, very proud, and this is not only my experience, I've heard it from many people. I think our airport security in this country is one of the finest globally. Globally. My personal experience, I used to be a smoker. I have gotten away with matchboxes at most international airports. Not that I'm very proud of it. I'm not a smoker anymore. Never ever in India. You carry a small penknife, they will find it. It is brilliant. Also, we are quite paranoid. It's a zero error syndrome. We cannot let it happen. And I'm glad we do not let anything happen. Having said that, I think luck is also playing a bit part in it. So let me explain to you something very interesting that I have done. This is a study that we have done. Our first point of airport security contact is at the gate, where somebody sees your identification and your ticket. Really speaking, that is not security. Nowhere in the world you have people standing at the gate like this. Nowhere. Of course, unless you count Israel, which also has. Why? Because that is not security. That is basically crowd management. That is basically access control. In a country like ours, if we don't have it there, everybody will go to say bye-bye to his or her relative, and the whole airport will be crowded, or the taxi walas will all come inside because it's air-conditioned environment and they can rest there. So basically what you have at the gate is not security, is access control or crowd management. Why are we wasting critical resources like Central Industrial Security Force on it? So the dichotomy was, I'm saying, and it's being corrected by the government now, everything is with a government body, Central Industrial Security Force, which is expensive, which is extremely highly trained resources which are being wasted on checking tickets against our identity card. It's changing now because the government has now abolished, I think, more than 2,500 positions of CISF and replaced them with more than 2,000 people from the private security company.
Okay.
Obviously, the government makes, there's an advantage also because the private security is probably half as expensive as the CISO guy who was standing there. So yeah, there is a saving also there. But more importantly, why are you wasting government resources on such a basic thing? The first point of security actually is the point of security, which means you get your boarding pass and then you go for security check. That is security. Now there I have another problem. This is my study. They are extremely efficient. They will open your bag, they will check everything, you take your laptop out, your shoe has a metal in it, you take your shoes out, and you cannot go through. I was very fond of wearing heavy watches, even that couldn't go through. But what happens to your check-in baggage? Your check-in baggage goes through a conveyor belt to the end. Now, who's responsible for doing the security check of the check-in baggage? It is the airline, not CISF. That is where the dichotomy starts. If I want to carry a bomb, I'll put it in the damn suitcase and let it go through. Why are we not being careful about that? Why check this little hand baggage? Oh, you please check the hand baggage, very important. But why not check that more important? And who's sitting in front of that screen when the check-in baggage is being checked? A 25, 30-year-old kid who has gone through Bureau of Civil Aviation Security training, who's gone through the airline security program, but they're not the same level as CISF. And their salaries are 25 to 30,000 bucks. Now please tell me how easy it is or how difficult it is to sway one of these youngsters. Why are we not looking at that? I think that would be my suggestion to any government body who sees this program. Having said that, we have very good systems. We need to replace our government employees with private employees. We need to train them better. We need to use them better. We've had this experience of working with various airports. It has been a great success. Fortunately, I have another interest in another business where we manage some airports for ourselves. And we literally run everything on the airports. We do the security also. So we have some experience on airport security, and we've worked for the outer cordon at Delhi airport for more than 2 years. So we do have some experience, and it is a very, very critical security function.
Not just the government but even other private security agencies should take notes of that and learn something from your suggestions. And another question, sir, we talked about technology, but what do you think is the future of drones? As drones companies like Garuda Aerospace and many other drone organizations are coming up and are doing very well in their field. So, do you think in security, in particularly the security industry, drones will be very important for the security industry?
No doubt about it. Absolutely. Anything that that reduces human intervention is less prone to errors, human errors, which is cheaper, more efficient, would always be welcome. Although I must qualify, there's a caveat here. You can't do away with people. It has to be a man-machine amalgamation. You can never lose people. You have to have them. Now, drones technology, I would say, today in the country, where security is concerned, is where normal technology was 10 years back. Quite a nascent stage. Very, very nascent. We've had the advantage of using drones for quite some time, not because we were a security company or our clients were asking for it. Now they are, some of them at least. But in another business that we own, a sister concern, we became one of the first drone pilot training institute in the country. So we now train hundreds of drone pilots, and we had drones, we had pilots who were being trained, they had to fly them. So we could offer this as a kind of a free service to some clients and say, why don't you try it? Maybe, and the idea was if they get hooked onto it, we'll probably get more business out of it. A couple of them did get hooked. We had recently done a proof of concept with some clients where we did delivery of products from one place to another with using drones. But that's not security, of course. But use of drones in security will be genuinely a game changer. 1, cost. 2, it's not prone to human errors. 3, one person can do much more than what he would do normally as. So just to give you an example, if you are monitoring a car on the highway and the car is traveling at 60 kilometers an hour, your drone is traveling at 10 kilometers an hour. You don't need to chase him. You just need to elevate yourself to still be able to see that car. Right. So it's a lesser effort thing. But we need drones to do patrolling. Why should a human being constantly be going around in the same circle? It should be, and the drones can then be linked to artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Right.
Which means if they detect something, they send a message to somebody else and action can be taken. There can be drones which do not need pilots because they are put on a fixed axis. Overall, I think it is the future. It will be used very heavily in the future by security in conjunction with static technology and people.
I think, sir, drones, like you very rightly said, can be used in terms of surveillance, in terms of monitoring and notifying the control room of all the highlights that are going on, of all the red alerts, probably. So it can be a huge game changer in the security industry. Experience. What do you think is other differences in the American security system, British security system, and Indian security system? Do you think we are at the same level, or do you think we need to revamp ourselves and level up when it comes to international standards?
In the lighter vein, Mera Bharat Mahan, so Mera better. However, that said, there are countries in the world where probably they are much advanced. I would say we are between the second and third generation of security service in this country, and there are countries like USA or maybe developed countries in the Europe who are probably a third generation or three plus.
Okay.
And then there are countries like Singapore which are 4+, which are way ahead of everything else. They've tuned it very nicely, but then of course it's a very small country and there's no comparison with India. One of the biggest differences I have noticed, only where people are concerned, I think we are better off because we have this greater sense of responsibility, greater sense of belonging. I've gone through a time in New York when there was some disturbance and the security just walked out at the airport. It's private security. It's not bothered. So they had to shut it off. So TSA had to come and just shut it down because the security guys walked away.
Okay.
That would never have happened in India. There's a very great sense of responsibility. Technologically, I think they are developed countries. They are ahead of us. But I think we are catching up very fast. So, to give you an example, our telecom industry is probably a generation ahead of most developed countries. Why? Because we started late, we got the latest one. Our metro system is way out better than the metro system, or underground as we call it in London. Why? Mine is brand new. So as we develop, you will find that we will be ahead of everybody else because we would be adapting latest technology when they will still be doing the changeover from the last one to the next one. If it's between third and fourth generation, we'll go and buy fourth straight and do it while they'll be transiting from third to fourth. So I think we will probably in the near term we will be ahead, if not equal.
Companies coming up with an IPO. So what would be your success mantras to the rest of the organizations? Please.
I'm not a good finance person. I can't read a balance sheet. I've never tried to learn to read one. Fortunately, I have good people who can learn it, who can read it for me. The success mantra in the financial market is, number one, sincerity. The investor today is smart. He looks at you, looks at your company, and he can tell you whether the company is sincere or not sincere. You have your integrity and your financial proprietary is extremely important. Once again, the investor is smart. He knows it. He looks at your sheet and says you're fine or not fine. So, be clean, be straight, be consistent, deliver what you commit. I have been listed in the past. For 10 years, my company was listed on AIM at the London Stock Exchange.
Okay.
So we are already quite experienced. And we realized one simple thing. Overdeliver, understate. When you are in the beginning of the year, if you're going to reach 100, say, I will do my best to reach 90. Markets are extremely smart. Smarter. They're so smart that the best of the machines can't beat them. People sense. Hoodwink the market, people try to be smarter than the market, but the market caught up. Eventually. So my mantra is this.
So as a mentor and a successful entrepreneur, and based on your vast experience, what is your advice for budding entrepreneurs and people who are starting up their new businesses? What would be your advice to them?
So I'm going to quote an example. I had the great privilege of knowing a really great man. His name was George Green, the chairman of Hearst Corporations. They own the largest number of magazines in the world. A few years back in New York, we were having dinner, and I requested him if I could bring my son, who was studying in NYU at that time, along. And he was very gracious to permit that. And my son asked him, what is the secret behind success? How do you succeed? How do you do well? And his answer was rather simple, but I loved it. He said, work when others are sleeping, and you will be ahead of everybody else. So I think the mantra is very simple. Hard work has no other, there is no replacement for it. You will have to work hard. You'll have to work hard when others are sleeping. You don't have to become complacent. Complacency is a big problem in our country. It's a very big problem. We get satisfied very easily. We get happy very easily. I mean, we are, sadly, even our movies are teaching us this. Culturally, we have been taught not to think big. The people who thought big, like Dhirubhai Ambani, has shot across the world. We are taught not to think big. I remember a movie from my childhood where Dharmender is telling a heroine, फिर हम अपना एक छोटा सा घर बनाएंगे. यार घर तो बड़ा बना लो. Sadly, हम सबको ये सिखा रहे हैं. So the mantra is think big, work hard, you will reach there, guaranteed.
Sir, what would be some of the challenges which professionals and entrepreneurs face in their journey? And how do you counter these challenges? And this would be my last question of this interview, sir.
I think there are multiple challenges. I mean, to become an entrepreneur is like being a truck driver who's driving a fully laden truck on a highway which is zigzag, and he has no headlights in the middle of the night. That is an entrepreneur. The load on his truck is responsibility. The zigzag is the flexibility that he must have to change his path when required. No headlights means he does not know what's going to happen tomorrow. COVID can happen. And he must maintain a speed of 60 kilometers an hour, which means he must maintain some momentum to grow. So that is the entrepreneur. Every possible challenge that can come will come. Be assured of that. How to handle them? Some you will handle with hard work, which is a simpler answer. Some you will handle by your brains thinking ahead of time, planning for it. Some you will handle with support from government agencies. Unfortunately for us, last few years, the government has been very supportive. It is very flexible, get things done very quickly. So though there is no hard and fast answer to your question, but I feel that that's how the entrepreneur should think. That I should be ready to take quick decisions, be flexible, maintain my momentum, be responsible for the people that I carry on my back. And even if I'm blind, which means I have no headlights and I can't see what's going to happen 2 years from now, at least I should plan. Last but not the least, I must always have a plan B.
Thank you so much for your time,
You're
Major
really
Manjit,
welcome,
sir.
Silvia. It's such a pleasure speaking to you.
And we hope for more insightful conversations and association with you. And thank you for sharing your productive insights on security industry and on other businesses. Thank you so much, sir.
You're really welcome, and my privilege. Thank you.